one of the greatest tacticians of Europe, who dived down a revolution, who managed to conquer most of Europe, exiled to Elba, and now has returned. This man is Napoleon Bonaparte. Now, I will dedicate an entire video to Napoleon, as he's just such an intriguing person. But today I'm going to be focusing on his downfall, the Battle of Waterloo. So, it is 1815 and Napoleon has escaped from Elba. He was exiled there in 1812 after his failed invasion of Moscow. When he returns, King Louis finds out about this, and he says, "Kill Napoleon. Don't imprison him, just go ahead and kill him." And so French battalions, including Ney, who was Napoleon's right-hand man, was sent to go stop Napoleon. Now, Napoleon wasn't alone. He did have some of his guard that were exiled with him. But when he came across Ney in the force, he said, "If you're willing to kill your emperor, go ahead." And there was a time where Ney's soldiers had to aim, and when Ney shouted "fire," the soldiers done nothing. Many of them dropped their rifles and shouted "Vive l'Empereur." Napoleon was back. It didn't take long for Napoleon to walk into Paris and for King Louis to say, "I'm not sticking around for this, I'm out." Once Britain, Prussia, Russia, and Spain found out about this, it didn't take long to form a seventh coalition. But this coalition was different. This time, they weren't declaring war on France, they were declaring war on Napoleon. Two of the largest nations plus a minor nation against Napoleon. And this battle would come down at Waterloo. Well, it wouldn't happen at Waterloo, it happened quite a way away, but the stage was set. Roughly 100,000 French versus 80,000 British, and the Duke of Wellington, the commander of the British, had chosen the defensive option, and obviously he controlled Saint-Hugomont and La Haye-Saint. Whoever controlled these two controlled the battlefield. Now, Napoleon's tactic was to wait and strike at the opportune moment with artillery, but this didn't come, as Ney ordered a small force to go round to Saint-Hugomont and attack it and try and take it. This is the beginning of the battle. Obviously it ends in defeat, but they'll be back. Now, the whole battle is strewn across an afternoon, but it doesn't happen entirely in that afternoon. Obviously there are attacks on Saint-Hugomont and La Haye-Saint, but the most important attack is the cavalry charges. The ones that go over the ridge and attack the British. But when there are cavalry charges, Wellington sets his infantry into infantry squares. It's in a horse's nature not to run into something sharp. And a line of bayonets, that's pretty sharp. Now this keeps happening. Cavalry charge, infantry squares, cavalry retreat. Cavalry charge, infantry squares, cavalry retreat for some time. Until Hugomont and La Haye-Saint are both taken. But when the final attack is happening on La Haye-Saint, Napoleon notices a force arriving. Now, the Prussians under Blucher had been discarded as they had fled a battle, and Napoleon tasked a small force to take them down, to not let them regroup with the British, and they had failed. The Prussians and the British were now together. So Napoleon ordered one last attack with the Old Guard. One last attack to spearhead through the coalition. Now, they got up using the French column. I'll explain wartime tactics in a different video. But the Duke of Wellington commands his forces to lie down behind the ridge. And when the French get within 30 feet, optimum range for a musket, he orders them to stand up and fire. Now they do this in a volley succession, and they absolutely terrify the Old Guard, causing them to retreat. Now Napoleon rides back and says, "Fire artillery, fire it all," even though his men were still there. It ends up with Napoleon being defeated and the Old Guard being obliterated. And this time, Napoleon was exiled to a different island, St. Helena, a fate worse than death. But the balance in Europe was now restored. If you want to get a better picture of the Battle of Waterloo, then just watch the film Waterloo. It is one of the best historic films I can recommend. And there is hardly anything wrong with it. So if you want to see the Battle of Waterloo, watch the film Waterloo. So that is it for the Battle of Waterloo and the end of the Napoleonic Wars. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about short-ass Napoleon in the comments below. And this is your friendly neighbourhood beast historian here, probably repelling an attack that's happening on Moscow.